Okay, thank you all so much for joining us. Our apologies for the delay, but we are all set on this end. Today we have Nichelle Hayes with us. She is the leader of the Center for Black Literature and Culture at the Indianapolis Public Library. And just a few housekeeping tips before we get started. If you could please keep your microphone muted, and you can have your video on or off, completely up to you. If you have any questions, throw them into the chat box. We'll be saving about 5 minutes at the end for a little Q&A. And without further ado, you can take it away, Nichelle.
Thank you so much, Deanna. I appreciate that. Hello, everyone. I apologize for the delay. I had some technical difficulties on my side, and I feel like this is 2020 and the whole year has been full of technical difficulties. So we will just jump right in. As was already stated, I am the leader for the Center for Black Literature and Culture. My name is Nichelle M. Hayes. I am the daughter of Sylvia Marie, who is the daughter of Anna Mae, who is the daughter of Anna Neal, who's the daughter of Gilly. And we are located in the Arbianus West Reading Room at Central Library, which is 40 East St. Clair. We were created with the benefit of a grant from the Lilly Endowment, so we always want to acknowledge them and their support of all of our efforts. So the idea for the Center for Black Literature and Culture came from our CEO and several board members, and they kind of shopped that idea around and talked to some stakeholders in the community to see if this would be a good idea, and they determined that it would. And so from that great idea, the Center for Black Literature and Culture was born. I would also like to say that we rise on the shoulders of the African-American History Committee, which was formulated in 1978. And so it's the longest running internal committee for the Indianapolis Public Library. And so that beginning was 8 staff members, and this is the earliest photo that we have of the committee. So during that time, they've created book discussions, they've had authors talks, Nikki Giovanni has been here with us, James Baldwin, just so many people. And so I like to say that we're an overnight success that started in 1978. Here's a picture of some of our committee members from October of 2017 when we opened. And so this is at the very, our main doors that are above the Simon Reading Room, again, at Central Library. So as I mentioned before, the African-American History Committee is a big part of our success. And so these are 2 plaques that are located on the inside of the CBLC in the Arbianus West Reading Room. So each one of those lists the names of a committee person. And then we also have another plaque that's dedicated to all of the people that have participated in Meet the Artist over the first 30 years. As we go into 2021, we'll be celebrating our 33rd year for Meet the Artist. So that's a yearly program where the entire Central Library is transformed into an art museum. And so there's art all over. And so that runs from January through March. So if that's not something that you've been able to take advantage of, I would encourage you to do that. So our strategic plan is what guides us as an organization. And so the library's strategic plan affirmed that the library had a commitment to celebrating Indianapolis's diversity and creating shared meaning and intellectual opportunities among people. And so we wanted to identify the CBLC as a place for conversation, be it formal or informal, and also a place to talk about the Black experience and race relations. And so we've been able to do that over these now 3 years. So we've had discussions on reparations. We've had discussions with different authors, Kevin Powell being one of those, Nikki Giovanni being another. And so really, we wouldn't be anywhere without the support of our community members, and we really appreciate that. So the purpose of the Center for Black Literature and Culture is for people all over the community to come together. So it's not just for Black citizens, but it's for everyone. And we'll talk a little bit more about windows and mirrors and that impact and what that means. But we definitely wanted the Black experience to be accessible and to be remembered. Adrian Matika, who was the state poet laureate last year, he grew up here in Indianapolis. He attended Pike High School. And something that he said was missing when he was kind of searching and just starting his road of being a writer is he really couldn't readily find those Black authors. And so he went to places like Expressions. It's still owned by Donna Stokes Lucas, but we wanted the library to be that place for people in the city. And so that's why the Center for Black Literature and Culture, another reason we were created. And I already said before how we stand on the shoulders of the African American History Committee. We also wanted to properly maintain and expand on the Black literature connection that we have. So previously it was created, but not maintained probably as well as it could have been. But now that we are putting a lot of energy and at least one individual to supporting that collection, we know that it will continue to grow. Another piece that we think about with the Center for Black Literature and Culture is it being a third place. And so a third place means it's not work or home, but a place that you come and you gather. And so, as I said before, it can be an informal spot. People can just say, hey, I'm just in the neighborhood. Let me look what's going on up there. Maybe I'm studying, maybe I'm reading, maybe I'm looking for inspiration, or maybe you determine, hey, I want to have a meeting and I can have a meeting in that area. Or it could be a formal program. So it's definitely a community space, and we want people to feel comfortable coming in that space whenever they would like. Here's a flyer from our opening, our grand opening. We had about 2,000 people in the space, and so that was very exciting. Roland S. Martin, who is a national broadcaster, he was our keynote. He really gave a charge to the people about how important this was and what a gem this was for Indianapolis and the rest of the community. Here's some pictures from our opening day, and that picture on the right-hand side is the picture of the Simon Reading Room. And so you can see we're shoulder to shoulder. It's very different looking at this now in 2020 versus 2017. We haven't been in big crowds like that in some time, but we were very excited about the crowd, very excited about the enthusiasm. And on the left side, we see Kabir Storyteller Drummers. And so they were able to drum us into the space and kind of get us started. And so drumming is something that you have at a lot of cultural programs and events. And we were so excited that they can help us with that celebration. Here's a rendering from RLR Associates. And so they helped us reimagine that space. So CBLC is located in a traditional reading room, but we kept the bones of the room. So you see the beautiful wood, the ornate paneling, the bookshelves, the beautiful ceiling, but we just kind of augmented and reimagined that. And so Andre Parnell was the lead in that project. He did an amazing job, and Rod Reed is the principal for RLR Associates. So there was a team involved comprised of individuals with the library, myself being the lead, and we kind of came together and thought about what are we trying to do, what are we trying to communicate, what feeling do you want to have when people come into the room, and they kind of took those nebulous thoughts and they put them on paper, and then we opened it up, and I would honestly say that I was blown away by what I saw. I just couldn't believe that it was as grand as it really was. And so they really over delivered with our vision and what it could be as a space. Here's our epicenter, which is a talking drum, and it's depicted on its side. And that is a space where you can come and you can look at displays, you can look at books. We have some words that are defined in there. We have the meaning of the Pan-African flag, which is red, black, and green, and then trimmed in gold. You can also access the card catalog, so you can, find a subject or a particular author or a particular book. So it's really kind of the hub, and it's something that kind of pulls people in when they come into the space. Here's the more detailed picture of Kabir storyteller drummers, who I mentioned before. And as I said, they drummed us into the space when they opened, and they played for us at other events. And so the gentleman in the green and the white hat, probably the tallest gentleman in that picture, that is Baba Kabir. And so he convened this whole group, and he has now gone on to be with the ancestors, but we feel like his spirit is still with us. He was a great supporter of ours, be it as a participant in a program or an observer. And so we still think of him often, and it was a great loss to the city when he made his transition. Here we have the west side of the room, and this is a portion of the mural, and this is all dedicated to Indiana Avenue and different segments of it. So what you're seeing right now is Madam Walker in her electric car more than 100 years ago. So where would we be had we kind of continued on with that mode of transportation? And then you also see the Apex Cab Company lined up outside of the Madam Walker Theater, which is still existing. It's the Madam Walker Legacy Theater. And then there's a picture of her manufacturing company, which no longer exists in physical form, but they are going to be erecting a plaque to show where that stood. So the Avenue had Black-owned businesses in the 500 block as early as 1865. So another part of what we wanted to share was how long Black citizens have been in Indianapolis and the impact and what they brought to the city as well as the Avenue. Here's another portion of that wall mural. And this is dedicated to Allen Chapel, AME, Bethel, some of the women missionaries in the church. We also have a picture of Wes Montgomery and his jazz trio, and his brother was also in that group. So there was a lot going on in the Avenue. There were grocery stores, there were jazz clubs, people lived in the Avenue. Obviously, we know that Madam Walker brought her company there. There were churches, as we said before. There were record stores and things of that nature. So there was a lot going on at the Avenue. It was a vibrant place. And we'd like to bring a little bit of that in this space. Here's our wall of honor. And so down on the east side of the room, you can see the major figures we have there. So you can see Vivica A. Fox, Wes Montgomery, Tamika Catchings, Babyface, and then Mari Evans at the very end. And so all of the people in the large windows have a connection to Indiana or Indianapolis. Some of them were born here. Some of them have spent a significant time of their adult life here, but they had some impact in Indiana. And so people don't often know this, but Vivica Fox actually was born here in Indianapolis, or excuse me, she was born in South Bend, and then she came here when she was about 4 years old. And she spent her formative years here, and she actually attended Arlington High School, which is also my alma mater. And so we were fortunate enough to have her come back a couple of years ago, and she was just blown away by the crowd and the love from her community in her hometown. And then, of course, we have Wes Montgomery, who was a jazz guitarist, and then Tamika Catchings and Babyface. So we wanted, in a lot of ways, to inspire people when they come into the space, be them young people or even seasoned people. We want them to look up into those windows and say to themselves, wow, those people lived here or were born here, and they've done X and they've been incredible. Well, what is it that I can do? What am I passionate about? And I think we've been able to do that to a certain extent. Here we have a picture of the south end of the room, and we have the quilts on the wall. So those quilts will rotate, and quilts are a definite part of Black culture, and that's definitely having a huge resurgence. And so we were glad we were able to add that aspect of it. And then we have a clock that was created by Omar Rashan, and he is a local artist, and so he did that for us, especially for the room. And so there's just a lot of things to unpack in the room. You see that we have title boxes in the room, so it's kind of a hybrid system, a hybrid library versus bookstore system. So that might help people that aren't familiar with the library to navigate and see what's in there and find books. But then it's also broken down in the Dewey system for people that are familiar with that. But if anytime you come in the room and you need help, there are individuals in the atrium that would be able to assist you. We see there the picture of Congresswoman Julia Carson. And so she's at the other end. And so we wanted to pay homage to her. So we focus on politicians, judges, artists, athletes, just a swath of people that are important in the Black community here in Indianapolis. Here we have a picture of actually a program that was occurring. And so this was a mini conference for book clubs. And so we had the Fortnightly Book Club, which will be celebrating its 100th year next year. And then we also had Go On Girl Book Club. We have a chapter, we have several chapters here in Indiana, but they're actually a national book club. And so each book club was able to come up, kind of talk about what they do, how they focus on things, how you can join. And so it was just a great day, kind of focused on literature. So we have a program in June called our Book Fest, and our theme is usually Juneteenth. And so we focus on literature and also the historic aspect of Juneteenth. So just another example of being able to use the space and just enjoy it and being inspired. This is a photo of some awards that belong to Miss Mari Evans, who is a writer and a pianist and a community leader. Her family loaned those objects to us, so her voice is definitely prominent in the space. And in the center there, you see the Kinara, and so that is the candle holder that's used during Kwanzaa. And we are proud and humbled to say that we're still able to use that every year. And so when we have our annual Kwanzaa program, we actually light that. Candle holder, and so it's a really amazing thing to have that. Here's the Madam Walker story. That was a great program from last year. Just another way of people being able to use the space. Here's a picture of the entire space down from one end to the other, from the north view down to the south view. So we fit about 90 people in the space. And here we're doing a scanning of some artifacts from Judge Tanya Walton Pratt, and we were happy to be able to do those, and they are on our digital indie space when you go to our website, ndpl.org. We do focus on the African diaspora, so it's not just African Americans, but the people of African descent and their impact globally. And so that's a little bit different than some areas that you might go into that are focused on Black work. I talked before about windows and mirrors. So windows, this is an area for people to learn through a window about another culture and heritage. And then for mirrors, for people that are a part of that Black culture and heritage, to see themselves reflected in powerful and positive ways. And Rudine Sims Bishop coined that phrase. So if you wanted to do an internet search to learn more about her, she is a juvenile librarian. Our area is depth, so we can't have everything by and about Black authors and Black subjects, but we try to have as much as we possibly can. Everything that we can obtain by James Baldwin, everything we could obtain by Kevin Powell and other authors, so you can really do a deep dive. I would also say that Black subjects and authors remain throughout our system and can be accessed that way. But the CBLC is a place where you can come again if you want to do that deep dive. And so it's important to know that Black history is global history, and those achievements are important for everyone to learn about. So as I said before, we're located at Central Library, which is at 40 East St. Clair. We are open. Our hours are limited because of COVID, and we do have a limit to the number of people that can come in. But you can come in if you'd like. You can also do curbside, and our hours are noted right there. And CBLC is open anytime Central is open. So you can come in at any time. You don't have to have an appointment. Here's our upcoming event. We're going to be celebrating our 3rd anniversary, as I mentioned. So it's going to be Saturday, October the 24th from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. And Adrian Matika will be our featured guest. And then we're going to have poets Two Black, Manon Boyce, Chantel Massey, and then Allison Horton. So this is free and open to the public. It will be a virtual event, and it'll be live streamed on Facebook and YouTube. And the Indianapolis Recorder will be one of our partners for that. Here's our card catalog if you want to check out some things there, and that's online, or you can access that at any one of our branches. We also have audio and ebooks, so that's another great option. And here we have a catalog guide specifically for the Center for Black Literature and Culture. So if you do the Libby app, you can access that to see kind of all the books that we have available. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming and taking in this virtual tour. If you want to see more pictures online, you can go to www.ndpl.org/CBLC. And now we will take questions.
Yes, thank you so much. We do have a question in the chat wondering if Kabir storytelling drummers are still drumming.
So they are, and they're individuals who drum separately, and they also drum together. So all of those gentlemen, other than Baba Kabir, are still active in the community, and so we're very excited about that.
A follow-up question on that, are there recordings that people can access digitally of past performances, or a schedule of upcoming drumming events potentially?
So right now, we don't have any of our recordings that you can access digitally. We are going to be working on the 2nd phase of the CBLC, and so that's a more interactive phase where you can kind of do a deeper dive into the stories. And so that's something that we're going to be able to put on the table, but right now it's not possible. But a great suggestion. Thank you.
And so you kind of touched on this a little bit. We had one more person ask, what's next for the organization, if what you guys have in the works?
Well, obviously everyone's trying to pivot because we're in a quarantine environment and we want to be safe. And so our first virtual event was our June Book Fest. It was phenomenal. Despite it being a sunny June day, we had an incredible number of people that came on and listened and interacted. So that was amazing. And so now we're celebrating our 3rd anniversary on the 24th of this month. So we're very excited about that. And we have a jam-packed schedule for 2021. So it's going to be more of what we've been doing. We're partnering with people in the city. Again, it's a space that's open, so you can go and soak it up and kind of see what's there live and in person if you choose to do that. So it's just going to be more of the same. So we're very, very excited.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have one asking, how can they attend the event on October 24th?
So what you can do is to go to ndpl.org, and you can do a search for events for CBLC, and you can click and register. Registration isn't required, but it's encouraged. That way we can remind you and then send you that direct link. So you can either check us out on our Facebook page, NDPL, or our YouTube page, or you can do the registration. And they're also going to be simulcast on the Indianapolis Recorder page. And they are a local Black newspaper that's been around for 125 years. So we are very honored that we're able to partner with them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much again. I went ahead and threw the web address into the chat for anyone that would like to click on it and go directly, since you have it on the screen as well. I don't see any other questions coming through, so thank you so much, Nichelle. We appreciate having you and sharing all of the wonderful information and the virtual tour, and that we can come, and it's it's very exciting, and glad to hear that you guys are able to adjust and change as needed with the COVID. So
thank you all for your time, and check us out. We're always there, and check out a book.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have a great
everyone.
day.